Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tatar Jayamudirayet Nasta Prayeshu Abadeshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from the 10th canto, chapter 14, text 54 and 55. Please repeat. Tasmat priyatama swatma sarvesham api dehinam tadartameva sakalam jagad-dhitāya tasmat priyatama swatma sarvesham api dehinam tadartameva sakalam jagad-dhitāya tasmat priyatama swatma sarvesham api dehinam tadartameva sakalam jagad-dhitāya tasmat, therefore, priyatama, most dear, swatma, one's own self, sarvesham, for all, api, indeed, dehinam, embodied living beings, tadartam, for the sake of it, eva, certainly, sakalam, all, jagat, the created universe, etat, this, characharam, with its moving and non-moving entities. Translation and purport by Śrīla Prabhupāda. Therefore, it is his own self that is most dear to every embodied living being, and it is simply for the satisfaction of this self that the whole material creation of moving and non-moving being entities exist. Please repeat. Therefore, it is his own self that is most dear to every embodied living being. And it is simply for the satisfaction of this self that the whole material creation of moving and non-moving entities exists. The word characharam indicates moving living entities such as animals and non-moving living entities such as trees. Or the word may also refer to moving possessions such as one's family and pets, and non-moving possessions such as one's house and household paraphernalia. Text 55 as well? Oh, okay, like that? Kṛṣṇam enam avehi tvam ātmānam akhilātmanām jagad-dhitāya sopyatra dehīvābhāti māyayā. So should we all do this as well, or just keep going? Kṛṣṇam, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mam, this. Avehi, just try to understand. Tvam, you. Ātmānam, the soul. Akhila-ātmanām, of all living entities. Jagat-hitāya, for the benefit of the whole universe. Saha, he, api, certainly. Atra, here. Dehī, a human being. Iva, like. ābhāti, appears. Māyayā, by his internal potency. We'll read the translation purport by Śrīla Prabhupāda. You should know Krishna to be the original soul of all living entities. For the benefit of the whole universe, he has, out of his causeless mercy, appeared as an ordinary human being. He has done this by the strength of his internal potency. Purport. In the Caitanya-caritāmṛta Madhya, chapter 20, text 162, Śrīla Prabhupāda comments on this verse as follows. Parīkṣit Mahārāja asked Śukadeva Gosvāmī why Krishna was so beloved by the residents of Vrindavan, who loved him even more than their own offspring or life itself. At that time, Śukadeva Gosvāmī replied that everyone's atma, or soul, is very, very dear, especially to all living entities who have accepted material bodies. However, that atma, the spirit soul, is part and parcel of Krishna. For this reason, Krishna is very dear to every living entity. Everyone's body is very dear to oneself, and one wants to protect the body by all means, because within the body the soul is living. Due to the intimate relationship between the soul and the body is important and dear to everyone. Similarly, the soul, being part and parcel of Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is very, very dear to all living entities. Unfortunately, the soul forgets his constitutional position and thinks he is only the body, dehātma-buddhi. Thus the soul is subjected to the rules and regulations of material nature. When a living entity, by his intelligence, reawakens his attraction for Krishna, he can understand that he is not the body, but part and parcel of Krishna. Thus, filled with knowledge, he no longer labors under attachment to the body and everything related to the body. Janasyo mohoyam aham mameti. Material existence, wherein one thinks, I am the body and this belongs to me, is also illusory. One must redirect his attraction to Krishna. The Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 1st canto, 2nd chapter, 7th verse states, Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janiyatu Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chaya Dahoitukam. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. Oma jnana timadandasya jana jana shalakaya chakshur unmilitam gena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So this purport covers the identity of the person, the soul, as well as the Supreme Soul. Krishna, of course, states in the Bhagavad Gita, Do imo purusho loke sharam aksharam evacha There's two types of living entities in this world, the sharam and the aksharam, the fallible and infallible soul. Sharam sarvani bhutani kutashto sharam uchyate. And then he says, Uttama purushatvane paramatmeti udaritaha. Yoloko trayam avesha bibharti avyaya ishvaraha. He says, above these two souls is the Supreme Personality, the Paramatma. And the Paramatma, of course, is in everyone's heart. And he also says to Arjuna in that verse, Yoloko trayam avesha, that I am supporting all the planets. Yatantarta paramano chantarastam. In the Brahma Samhita, Adyantaracha paramano chantarasta, Lord Brahma says that the Supreme Soul is in the atom and between the atoms. So Krishna is all-pervading, as we hear in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Maya tatamidam sarvam jagad-dhitāya. Matstani sarvabhutani maite teshu chapyam. So although he's in Goloka Vrindavan and he's engaging in his eternal pastimes with the Gopas and Gopis and Mother Yashoda, at the same time, by his inconceivable potency, Shavashit Shaktir Vividhai Vishuyate, Swabhavaki Jnana Bala Kriyacha, by his Shakti, he is also accompanying every living entity, every living soul in all these trillions and trillions of universes. So Achintya Guna Swarup, he has inconceivable quality that he is simultaneously accompanying every soul as they go through life. Mamai vamso jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana maranasastan indriyani prakriti stani karshati. That the living entities have taken birth in this world that Krishna has supplied them, and they're his eternal parts and parcels, and they're struggling very hard due to the uncontrolled mind and the uncontrolled senses. So the modes of material nature are covering the living entity so that he doesn't know really who he is. He thinks he's the body. In the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna what is the quality of a person in the mode of goodness. Sarva bhuteshu yenaikam bhavam avyayam ikshate, that the soul, the person who is in the mode of goodness, at least he sees the one within the many. That within all the varieties, there is the one, the soul. The soul is non-different in the tree or the animal or the insect or the reptile and so on. But in the mode of passion, pritak bena tuyajganam nana bhavam pritak vedam veti sarveshu bhuteshu. Tadgyanam vidi rajasam. Unfortunately, when the soul becomes covered by the mode of passion, then he judges based on body or the extensions of the body. I'm born in India, therefore I'm Indian. I'm born a Muslim, therefore I'm a Muslim. I'm born in America, therefore I'm an American. I am male, I am female, all these ābhātis. In this way, the soul goes through life suffering due to the modes of material nature. Rajasastu phalam dukam. In the mode of passion, there's only duk, there's only unhappiness. There's no happiness. Therefore, janiyatu ashu vairagyam jnanam chaya dahoitukam. This great knowledge is being afforded to us by the Lord, as it's stated here, that he descends himself in person within each universe. We know that Krishna appears once in the day of Lord Brahma here on this planet, and vinashayat chaduskritam dharma samstapanarpayam sambhavami yuge yuge. He comes to dissipate the darkness of adharma and introduce Sanatan Dharma, to understand, first of all, as he tells Arjuna, that, you know, you are the soul. You have to kill all your relatives. Kill your teacher, Dronacharya. Kill your grandfather, Bhishmadev. Kill all your cousins. Kill them all. Because they're not the body, they're the soul. And they're promoting adharma. So, this is the mercy of Lord Krishna. Out of his compassion, he comes pritranaya sadhunam vinashaya. He comes to protect those who are aspiring to be his devotees, or those who are pious enough to become his devotees. To understand not only that I'm a soul, because the māyayā parita jnānis, the impersonalists, they also understand that I'm a soul. Aham brahmasmi. But they're very offensive to the Lord. They say he has no eyes, he's not very, he has no arms, no legs. Māyayā aparita jnāna, knowledge stolen by illusion. So no, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejects this impersonalism. Even Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he says that this path of impersonalism, it is bona fide, Brahmanda, understanding Brahman, but he says, Klesho dikataraste shama vyakta sakta cheta sama vyakta hi gatir dukam dehāvābhir avapyate, that this path of impersonalism, understanding aham brahmasmi, Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya, the universe is false. It's not really false. He says this is avyakta hi gatir dukam, that is a very difficult path for the embodied soul. Rather, you should, as Prahlad Maharaj tells his father, Tat sadhamanyu suravarya dehinam sada samudvigya didama sadrahat hidvatmapatam griham andakupam vanam gato yad darim ashriyeta. You should go to the forest of Vrindavan. Here we are in Vrindavan. So Prahlad is telling his father, go to the forest. Vanam gato yad daharim ashriyeta, and take shelter of the Supreme Lord. Narada Muni also tells Maharaj Prachina Barishat that, this person Puranjana, he is the inhabitant of the body of 9 gates, the city of 9 gates, the body. And he's trying to enjoy in this garden. The city of 9 gates has a garden, that is the heart. And the heart is full of material desires. Icha dvesa samutena dvandva mohena bharata. The soul was born into the duality of desire and hate. And he has so many desires he's trying to fulfill. It's on and on and on. Nunam pramata kurate vikarma. Yet indriya pritya aprinoti. The soul is trying to mad after pleasure of this material body. Unfortunately, there's no pleasure there. So, Darim Ashriyeta, take shelter of the Lord. Like Dhruva Maharaj, who performed great austerities in the Mahavan forest here. Great austerities to get the mercy and see Lord Vishnu. Of course, he had some material desire, but ultimately he understood that the whole goal in life is how to develop our love for Krishna, our love for God. Prema Pumartha Mahan, that the goal of the soul is not just emancipation from this pavarga. As it said, dharmasya hi apavargasya nartotaya pakalpate nartasya dharmaikantasya kamo labdaya hi smritaha. That the goal of all human activities is apavarga, to become free from defeat, pa and bha, phenila, foaming at the mouth, hard labor, ultimately becoming defeated, parabhavas tavada bodhajato, and then there is diminishing of the body and death, pafa, babha, and ma, mrityu, death. So the soul's purpose, as Dhruva Maharaj has shown us, as Narada Muni is telling Maharaj Prachina Barishat, is to give up this pursuit of material enjoyment, of material acquisition, as said here, janasya moho yam aham mameti. pumso striyo maitami bhavametam, you know, becoming attracted to enjoying this material world, thinking oneself the body, and ultimately then purusho prakritisto hi bhunkte prakriti sadgunan karanam gunasangosya sadasha joni janmasu. We have to see, as Madhya-līla, that the soul, the living entities, are going through millions and millions of births and deaths, thinking himself, dehīna, I am this body, I am this material body. And they're going through so many births and deaths, yonishu, different species of life. So our business, the business of the devotee, as Prahlāda Maharaj says, Naishamati stavadu rukaming gring sprishatana padanar yadarta, is first of all to take shelter, mahiya sampada rajobi shekam, take shelter and take bath in the dust of those persons who have no material desire. Aniha, mahiya sampada rajobi shekam, niskinchananam navrinita. Niskinchana, they have no material desires. They're full of love of God, and take shelter of them. In this way, we can also come to the transcendental platform of understanding our eternal nature as eternal servants of God. That is the abhideya sambandha and then prayojana, tasting the fruit of love of Godhead. So, Krishna is so kind that he even appears in the form of his holy name. Kali Kalir Namarupa Krishna avatar. That Krishna appears in his holy name with all his shaktis, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said. Namnam bahuna nija sharva shaktis. That in your holy name, all the potencies, Krishna has invested all his potencies in this holy name. So, especially in this age, he's invested so much shakti in this holy name. And so we chant the holy names, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I order you to become God Krishna conscious, and then give it to others. Give it to them. Otherwise, as is stated here, the living soul is going through so many births and deaths, so many yonis, and not realizing, not looking within themselves to find that within themselves there's a super soul. The Lord is within the heart, and he's waiting. He's just waiting. When are you going to, come back to me? Krishna has so much compassion, as Prahlāda Maharaj has. So much compassion. So chetato vimukha cetasa indriyartam. Maya sukhayam bhavato. Maya sukham baram udvahato vimudan. Prahlāda says, my dear Lord Nrsingadev, please don't tempt me with some material benefits. I'm not a businessman that I am your servant. I'm your unalloyed servant. I'm your surrendered servant. And now you want to give me a big kingdom more than my father? Hiranyakashipu, he controlled the entire universe. He controlled all the demigods and all the yakshas and all the kinnaras and all the charanas, the apsaras, the gandha. He controlled the entire universe. And here Lord Nrsingadev is saying, oh, I'd like to give you. And Prahlāda is saying, no, I'm not a businessman. I'm here, ahaitukya pratiyata. I just want to serve you without motive. And constantly. Therefore, he says, the only hankering or lamentation I have is maya sukaya baram udvahato vimudha. That all these living entities in this world, they're bewildered by your maya potency. Mama maya dhirajya. They're bewildered. They're being tossed, turned and tossed by the modes of material nature, by the threefold miseries of material existence. They're being forced to suffer so many ways. And then what happens at the time of death? Patanti narake sucha, Krishna tells Arjuna in the 16th chapter that these persons who have no drop of interest in serving the Lord, patanti narake sucho, they glide down to the hellish planets. There's so many hellish planets described by Śukadeva Gosvāmī. There's different categories. Within each 28 categories, there's so many hundreds of planets where people are punished for sinful activities. For engaging in sinful activities, they're punished in so many ways. Even if you don't cultivate spiritual life, there's a punishment. Even you're not interested, you're agnostic. So in this age of Kali, that we actually find ourselves in, we see that the entire world is overwhelmed by atheism. That they don't know the basic tenets of reality of life. That I am not the body, I'm the eternal soul. That they don't know. They're promoting this propaganda that you're simply molecules and atoms. You're simply this material body. And you have nothing to worry about. The life came from matter. Asatyam apratishtam te jagad-dhitāya. There's no God. We don't see God, doesn't exist. We don't see the soul, doesn't exist. That's what they're teaching in all over the world. The world's being covered by atheism. Krishna condemns this. Asurishu evi yonishu. He says, Tana ham dushatakuran samsareshu naradamam. Shipami ajashum ashubam. Krishna, in a kind of angry way, he says, Shipami ajashum ashubam. I cast them into lower species of life. Asurishu evi yonishu. Into the wombs of dogs and cats and hogs. Asurishu evi yonishu. Into lower species of life, demoniac species, I cast them. Those who very stubbornly are saying there's no God, there's no soul, life comes from molecules. Like Prabhupada said, I'll give you all the chemicals, I'll give you a nice, freshly dead body. Just died, now make it live. They have no clue, but still they're insisting and persisting and pushing this idea that you are just matter. That's all you are, you just matter. There's no such thing as soul, there's no God. Therefore, they're condemned by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita as asuri bhavam, demoniac persons. And therefore, kalir dosha nidhe rajan, we have an ocean of problems here in Kali Yuga. So many problems. And ultimately, Krishna says, etam dristam avastabhya nastalpamulpa buddhaya prabhavanti ugra karmana shaya jagat-hitāya. That assuming and embracing this kind of atheism, they engage in unbeneficial works meant to destroy their own civilization. And in the purport there, Śrīla Prabhupāda says that now they're building and they're very proud of their atomic bomb. And one day they may use this bomb and destroy their civilization. So it is very important for us to implement this message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and to spread it. It's very simple in the age of Kali. Yagyai sankirtane prayir yajantihi shamedasha. That the Lord has come as a devotee. In Dwapara Yuga, we know Krishna was around here killing demons every day. Putana, Trinavarta, Agasura, Aristasura. He was killing demons. And Lord Balaram, he was also killing demons. Pralambasura, then he killed Rukmi, Krishna's brother-in-law, and he killed Romaharshan Sutta, who was a little puffed up, like that. But in Kali Yuga, Lord Nityananda is so merciful, he's Lord Balaram, but even someone hits him in the head, Madai strikes him in the head, he says, I beg you to chant Hare Krishna, that's all I'm asking. Simply chant these holy names of the Lord, and you will attain full perfection of life. Primanjana Churita Bhakti Valochanena Sadasa Devi Hridayeshi Lokayanti. Yam Syama Sundaram Achintya Guru Guna Swarupam Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. That simply by chanting this holy name gradually, Lord Nityananda is so merciful. Nitai Pada Kamala Koti Chandra Shushitala. His lotus feet are like millions of moons. He can soothe the entire world, the entire planet can soothe with his lotus feet. He's simply asking everyone, simply chant the holy names of the Lord, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Simply chant it under the guidance, tat karma pravartana, under the guidance of the great acharyas. We must do it under the guidance of the great acharyas who have appeared here. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. They've appeared here and they've been empowered by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to teach us how to practice this bhakti yoga, how to practice Vairagya Vijja Nija Bhakti Yoga, Shikartam Eka Purusha Purana, Shri Krishna Caitanya Sharira Dhari, Pambudir Yastam Aham Prapadye. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is telling Lord Chaitanya, you've come to teach Vairagya, detachment from the material body, detachment from the extensions of the material body. Baro means my society, my country, my friends, my relatives, my body, my mind, like this. Vairagya, vidya, knowledge to know myself, separate from the body, and my eternal position, my swarup, is an eternal servant of the Lord. So Nityananda is the Adi Guru, and he's giving this very, very simple process. Simply associate nicely with devotees, right? Exchanging of gifts, inquiring submissively and confidence, exchanging of prasadam. How's that go? Priti lakshanam dadati pratibhinati. Like this. These exchanges of devotion and avoiding the non-devotees means when Rupa Goswami says avoid the non-devotees, it simultaneously means accepting association of the devotees. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also says, asat sangatyage vaishnavachar. One should associate with those devotees who have no desire to enjoy this material world, gross or subtle. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati speaks about this in the pastime where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they're cleansing the Gundicha temple. And this temple represents our heart. And if you want the Lord to sit in your heart, Jagannath has to come to the Gundicha temple. Then there's an extreme cleaning process going on. Cheto Darpana Marjanam. So we want to avoid the subtle principles of material enjoyment. Pratishta. I want some respect. I want some high position in the association of devotees. Pratishta, puja. I want to be worshipped by other devotees. Like this. Kutinati. I feel envious to some devotees. Kutinati, fault finding. This is Kanishta consciousness, Kanishta mentality, neophyte mentality, where we don't see that within this devotee's heart or all hearts, the Supreme Lord is there. So we offer obeisances to the Lord within the heart of all the devotees. So we try to avoid these offenses to the holy name within our minds, to blaspheme devotees of the Lord who dedicated their lives to the propagation of the holy name of the Lord. Like this, these are all offenses we have to avoid. So purity of heart is very important to try to avoid the offenses or the enemies of devotional service. Atyahara prayashascha prajalpaniyamagraha janasangas chaloliam cha sadbir bhaktir pranashyati. Over collecting, overeating. I should have this. This devotee has this. I should have it as well. Prajalpa, speaking mundane topics, mundane things, gossiping, gramya katha. Yeah, this is dust on the mind, dust on the heart. And Bhakti Siddhanta is saying you have to clean away the dust, clean away the weeds within the heart. Sometimes we're chanting Hare Krishna and we're watering the weeds. We're watering the weeds instead of the bhakti lata, instead of the creeper of devotional service. We're watering the weeds. So we have to be very discerning. Prabhupada said even on the royal road, sometimes there may be an accident, and Maya is very, very, very strong, as we know. So you have to be careful while chanting, not to water the weeds, but to water the bhakti lata bij. And gradually in our sadhana bhakti, there is Vedi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti. So the second stage, we're aspiring to become more spontaneous in devotional service. We're not forcing ourselves to chant, but there's ruchi, there's nishta and ruchi. We become fixed in chanting the holy names, and we derive pleasure in chanting the names, in discussing the Lord's pastimes and activities with each other. This is the stage coming to more ruchi stage, more taste for discussing the glorious pastimes of the Lord and His devotees. We want to hear the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam every day, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, like this. This is our maturity in devotional service that's described by Rupa Goswami, father of devotional service. So coming to that, then, mamchayo vyabhicharana bhakti yogena sevate. That is bhakti. Bhakti means pure bhakti. When one enters into the house of bhakti, there's no more anarthas within the heart. There's no more contamination of the modes of material nature. Sagunam samatityaitam brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Pure devotional service, very rarely achieved, but that's what we want. Lola shamai, we have the greed for this and eagerness, therefore utsahan nischayat how's it go? Utsahan nischayat daryat tat karma pravartanat sangatyaga sato vrite sadbir bhaktir virishyati. So enthusiasm, patience, and confidence. Confidence, determination, like that. And enthusiasm, like this morning, everyone's enthusiastic to come to see the Lord at 4 a.m. in the morning, enthusiastic to dance and chant in ecstasy. Prabhupada said, when the hands go up, there's clapping, the legs are moving. He says that is a taste of prema. You're tasting some love for the holy name, for Krishna. And we don't want to take a break, keep it going 24/7, right? That's our goal. 24/7. And then the devotee, by his chanting, Rupa Goswami says his heart becomes very soft. Very, very soft, unlike the yogis. The yogi's heart is very clean like a diamond, but it's hard. But the devotee's heart says it's like warm ghee. And so, out of compassion, so chaitato vimukatasa chaitasa indriyartam, the devotee wants to distribute the holy name to all the souls, all the fallen souls. That is his only desire. That is Prahlad's desire, to save the souls and bring them to the lotus feet of the acharyas and to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. That is our business and that is our motive, to deliver the souls. And Śrīla Prabhupāda said that this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Bhagavad Gita, this is also Harinam Sankirtan. It's a glorification of the Lord. It is also chanting. So Śrīla Prabhupāda always emphasized, distribute books, distribute books, distribute books. Constantly, every time I saw Śrīla Prabhupāda only 4 or 5 times, but every time he emphasized this book distribution and preaching. Preaching is a mercy. You're giving mercy. This is real mercy. Yagnartat karmanani atralo. Without performing sacrifice to Krishna and Vishnu, performing the chanting of the holy name, no one can get out of this horrible material existence, this ocean of birth and death. where padam padam yad vipadam. It's full of danger. Although someone looks like Prime Minister of India or a big industrialist, Mr. Birla, Mr. Dalmia, if they don't have this holy name of the Lord, if they're not following in the footsteps of the great acharyas, you can take it for granted that they're suffering. Even the President of the United States, the most powerful country in the world, he's suffering too if he doesn't have this mercy, this knowledge, this nectar. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire is to cover the entire world with the nectar of the holy name of the Lord. He wants to do this, and we see that slowly but surely this Sankirtan movement is spreading throughout the world. And Śrīla Prabhupāda said there's two evils that we have to destroy. One is the atheistic scientists who are religiously persisting in this atheism and trying to indoctrinate everyone in this atheism. And the second evil, Prabhupada said, was communism. So he wanted this communism to be destroyed. It's destroying the finer qualities in a human being, this communist atheism. So Prabhupada said, these two things we want to destroy. And this, the sun of the Sankirtan movement is gradually rising on the sky of the world and dissipating this darkness. And it's our business to be Lord Chaitanya's and Śrīla Prabhupāda's soldiers and take every risk to deliver the souls, and then we'll be safe. Hare Krishna. I don't know what time it is, but it's about time to quit. If there's any comments or questions. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Haribo.
You were speaking about punishment, and then you spoke about Madhya-līla cracking the skull of Lord Nityananda. So essentially, what punishment is there for any individual who performs such grievous acts as attempting to hit the deity or hit Krishna in that way? Do you know what the punishment is for that?
For what someone does to Lord Nityananda or some, well, there's punishment. If one attacks or punishes a saintly person, as fifth canto describes, he goes to a planet called Suchimukha, where he's like a piece of sugar cane. Everything is squeezed out of him. And there's a picture of it in the Bhagavatam that, the depiction is the police are harassing, just like when I was distributing books in the airports, the cops would always harass us, like crazy, and put us in prison, jail, And so unfortunately, they have to suffer a reaction for tormenting, trying to torture and torment devotees who are trying to spread this movement, or the movement of Lord Chaitanya. There is great punishment in Hellish Planets. But Haridas Thakur was so advanced that when the constables were beating him in 22 marketplaces, he was constantly praying, please, my dear Lord, please, please, let me take their sinful reaction. Let them go back to Godhead. Let me accept the sinful reaction of beating me. And please, please, just give them love of God. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Haridas Thakur, he said, Haridas, I couldn't send my Sudarshan Chakra to kill them because your prayers were so powerful that you were blocking my anger to kill these constables. So they weren't able to, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wasn't able to, destroy these rascals. So the devotee of the Lord, Tate nukampam shushamiksamano, he accepts all obstacles, all kinds of, adverse situations and so on, as a reaction to his previous sinful activities. And he simply depends on the mercy of the Lord. In this way, he becomes the rightful owner and eligible for the Lord's mercy, and the Lord's mercy from his lotus feet. So we don't retaliate. We simply pray to Lord Nrsimhadev if we're in danger. But definitely the people who torment or attack the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya, attacks Dharma, they will have to suffer in so many ways, unfortunately. So we have to sympathize with them also. Feel sorry for them. Yes, Ramit?
So we were speaking about Krishna was asking Arjuna to kill them. Bhishma and Drona had killed them. So you are not killing the soul, you are killing the body. So who is performing that? Is the soul or the body?
Well, the soul is animating the body, right? It's the driving force. But when the consciousness travels through karmatmakam yena sharira bandha, right? That karmatmakam, it becomes colored. Like you have white light, which is broken into a spectrum of different colors. So there's 81 types of, the modes of the combination of the modes. 3 cubed, and then 3 cubed is 81. So there's different combinations of the modes influencing pure consciousness. So the mind becomes influenced. But as the soul is the first mover. The soul is the causal principle of the activities of the body. Adishtanam tatakartam karnantaprita. There's 5 factors of action described by Krishna. Of course, the ultimate element of causality is daivam, or the Supreme Lord. Not a blade of grass can move without the sanction of the Lord. But the Lord is, supplying whatever we desire. Man is the architect of his own destiny, so to speak. You're desiring and Krishna is fulfilling. It says in the Upanishad that he's fulfilling the desires of all living entities since time immemorial. Stated in the Upanishad like that. So the consciousness is the first mover, and the super soul is supplying. But then here's your karma, right? Karmana, daivanechana. Based on your karma, you take this birth or that birth. Striyopavishtumadharat. You go into a womb, or into an egg, or into a seed. Your soul keeps traveling around throughout this material universe. But the first move is, the soul is the first move, the driving force. Without the presence of the soul, there's no action whatsoever. Nothing. The Lord is supplying these senses, basically. That's described in the 2nd canto, citing according to the Lord's prayers. Lord Brahma is explaining the breakdown of the material elements, the senses, and so on. Very technical. Hare Krishna. Is that okay? Adishtanam tatakartam karnam chapritag vidam vividam chapritag chestam daivam chaivatra panchamam. 5 factors of action. The place and time, the senses, the instruments of action, and then chestam, the endeavor, and then place and time, senses, the instruments, the attempts, the instruments of action, the senses, and cheshta means the endeavor, and then daiva means God himself, the Supreme Lord. So those are the 5 factors of action. So the soul, Purusha Prakriti Stoti, the soul is going through the material elements, trying to enjoy different forms of life, basically. Hare Krishna. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda.